Some time back, I was serving as a campus pastor at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. And during the Christmas holidays, Paul, the Lutheran campus pastor, and I were doing some brainstorming and program planning for the second semester. It was a good break for us. And in the midst of our planning session one afternoon, I said, Paul, it occurs to me that everything that we're talking about, our events, projects, studies, worship, all of it takes place right here on the university. Why not take advantage of the spring break, for example, and get some students and take them to an entirely different culture? And he said, what do you have in mind? I said, well, we could do a work project, maybe have some leisure time, of course. I'm thinking about maybe Jamaica. Got nice beaches. We could give the students some time there and then do a work project, get acquainted with some of the people, expand our horizons a little bit. He said, it's great. He jumped on the idea. So I got in touch with a church executive in Jamaica, told him what we had in mind, asked him if that would be doable, and he said, absolutely. He said, we're planning to start a new church in a Hillshire province just outside of Kingston, and they could help, the students could help us get started. So spring break, we had 15 students, my wife, son, and I, and Paul, and we arrived in Jamaica Monday morning. I decided that I did not want to go empty-handed, so in talking with the church executive, I found out that they had a need for computers. And I had gotten a friend of mine who owned a computer store to donate a couple of computer systems. And I had those checked with me. Monday morning we arrived at the airport, and we unloaded the computers, got them out of the baggage claim, and I started to wheel them outside of the airport, and an airport official just stopped me. She didn't say anything. She just held up her hand, and I realized I'm not going anyplace. Well, Richmond, who was the pastor that was to meet us there, I had never met. But I looked across the barrier and I saw this man, and he and I made eye contact, and he said, Max, and I said, yes, Richmond, yes. He saw I was confused about the computers, and he pointed to them and said, don't worry about it. Tomorrow, man. I could easily call this story, Tomorrow, man, don't worry about it, because that was the attitude that prevailed through the whole week. So I nodded and nodded to the airport official and started to leave, and she gave me what I presumed was a claim check. And we left, loaded into the cars that the Jamaicans had come down to take us. Went up to the youth camp, which was to be our home for the week. Had a delicious meal, met several of three of the young pastors and some of their members, and great time visiting. And after the meal was winding down, I said, now, Richmond, what about this work project? What are we supposed to do? And he said, oh, yes. And he called three of the pastors together around the table, and I kid you not, he reached in his pocket, pulled out an old envelope, turned it over, and took out a pencil, and he said, now, gentlemen, and they were all men. He said, how large should we make this building? One of the students who was watching what was going on said, Max, they're not ready for us. They've done no preparation. Didn't they know we were coming? And I said, yeah, but we just have to go with the flow. So they talked for a little bit, and they sketched out, decided on how big it ought to be, and one of the pastors said, I'll call first thing in the morning and see about getting the materials. Next morning, Tuesday morning, we showed up, and it was a real overgrown with brush, a real thick brush, and very rocky soil. And so we started clearing the ground and checked out several machetes and started whacking down the bush. Once the work project got underway, then I went with Richmond back to the airport, claimed the computers, sat around for a better part of 2 hours, didn't really understand what was happening. Richmond was just visiting with people. And then all of a sudden, computers showed up, and we took them to the conference office, the church office, and delivered them. And went back and rejoined the church project. The church did take place. We helped start the foundation for that church. And I went back in the fall for the dedication of it. The students had a fantastic time. We indeed gave them a day on the beach, and they got a chance to meet Jamaicans. We went to a church worship service, and when they got back, that was all they could talk about. They had done something good for somebody. But the thing that occurred to them and to me is that we had left Nebraska to go down to help people in Jamaica. We came home realizing how much we had learned and how much the people in Jamaica had helped us. And I can still hear to this day, because I heard it more than once from people other than Richmond, don't worry about it, tomorrow, man. It was a very good week in Jamaica.